Hey guys, I know a lot of you are really excited about Classic WoW coming out. I know I am, and because I am so freaking impatient to play it, I decided to do a little prep beforehand by setting up shop on a private server. I thought they'd all been shut down in the wake of Classic, but apparently not. Before you embark on your Classic or private server vanilla WoW journey, I suggest you watch this video so you can prep yourself mentally for how different things are going to be. People always talk about how good it was back in vanilla, and I agree it was good, but it was different, and it might take you some getting used to. So where to start? The first thing you'll probably notice when you start a new character is that quests don't show up on the main map, or the mini-map. There was a quest giver right in front of me, but then after I got the quest, I realized I had no idea where to go. I clicked M and checked the map, and there was nothing. Well, here in vanilla, you're actually going to have to pay attention as there are no big huge question marks on the main map anymore. I completely forgot that there was so much more involved back then. This is why we used Thoughtbot, which ultimately turned into the Wowhead we have today, because quests were confusing. You'll see a yellow dot on your mini-map to turn in a quest, but not on your main map that you can access with M. There is no area showing you where to go for a quest either. Even though I've played the game since 2005, I found it pretty disorienting at times. You'll have to read the quest for the most part to figure out where to go, and sometimes it's going to be vague. This is why Cartographer and other quest helper mods were such lifesavers. You'd get coordinates and be able to get right there. And another thing when it comes to quests is that there's nothing to indicate what drops off of what mobs as there is currently in live. To get mobs to show that they're part of a quest, you'll need a mob like Questy. Otherwise, you'll just have to make sure you read the quest and know what to kill. Talent trees are completely different in vanilla versus the live version we have today. While this is the main reason I wanted to return to vanilla WoW, some may be a bit overwhelmed by their sudden ability to make any real choices on their character's customization. You'll be going from this to this. There's no more limiting of which specialization you must pick. You can be 2 or even 3 if you want. It was awesome! But you may not know what talents are good and which ones are useless. You can find builds other people have made by searching the net, or you can just experiment yourself. You can only have one spec at a time, and while respecking is possible, it can get quite expensive, so choose wisely. Your talent trees will open up at level 10, and you will get 1 talent point per level until 60, giving you a total of 51 points to work with. There will be no more automatic learning of skills. If you want to learn new skills and even new ranks of skills, then visit your class trainer and pay to learn them. The cost can be quite difficult for a new player. As a caster, you can even cast a lower rank of a skill, like Fireball rank 1 to save mana and cast quicker. It adds a lot of potential to healers as well, being able to choose a lower rank to conserve mana or get a cast off quicker. You'll learn new skills every 2 levels. You might be used to the piles of gold that you've amassed in Legion, but in vanilla, gold is scarce. You'll have to work to get some money, as not only does training your skills cost, but you'll likely be spending money to get some gear for yourself off the auction house as well. Making 1G off a bag is an example of making good money, and the economy simply isn't anywhere near as bloated as it is now. You'll have to be frugal when you're starting off and sell almost everything. Getting an epic mount cost 1,000 gold, which was an achievement in and of itself to get. Speaking of buying gear, one huge difference in vanilla WoW that is largely handed to us now in Legion is that gear is going to matter, but won't be easy to come by. Certain classes won't notice that their gear matters as much, like warlocks and hunters who can hide behind pets, but others that are dealing with direct combat, like warriors and rogues, will definitely notice the pain when their weapon becomes out of date. The gear rewarded from quests isn't always specific to your class and spec, so you're going to find that gearing will be a side quest in and of itself that you'll always be working towards. You can buy gear off the auction house, but because money is scarce, it will be a big choice for you to decide what you will be able to buy. That leads me to another important difference, and that's that professions are pretty serious in vanilla. Nowadays you can pick whatever, and it might add some slight extra money or convenience, but it really doesn't matter too much. In vanilla, since gearing is such a pain, you can make your own gear to really help alleviate the stress of buying it. And you can also actually make money selling what you've made, and not only at the beginning of the expansion like it is now in live. You may want a tailor so that you can have decent bag space, or if you're like me and you're always dying, you may want to make an alchemist so that you can make your own potions. Remember, in vanilla, you could use as many potions as you wanted. There were no limitations, but they do disappear when you die. And you're not going to get experience for gathering either. And all the items have skill level requirements, like you have to be 15 in herbalism to pick earthroot and 50 to pick mage royal. While you're at it, it's a good idea to learn first aid. Most classes, especially ones without heals, are going to need bandages to get by. I remember playing on a warrior in vanilla, and after every fight I'd have to bandage. Bandages used to be a necessity, so make sure you pick it up ASAP. You might also want to pick up cooking to help you with getting help when your bandages are on cooldown, but you can also just buy food from the innkeeper, so it doesn't matter as much. Remember when most classes had a ranged weapon? Classes like warriors and rogues had a ranged weapon slot where you had to equip a thrown or ranged weapon like a bow. You can then use your class's throw skill, which will allow you to have some ranged. Depending on the weapon type, you'll have to buy more each time you run out. This went double for classes like hunters, who not only had to use a quiver as one of their bag slots, but also had to keep arrows stocked in the quiver. Each time they shot an arrow, it was used. Yes, this is how it used to be. Running out of arrows mid-fight was a real and common thing, almost as bad as forgetting to repair and not being able to use your weapon. Casters used to have wands that they could equip that would have a permanent source of ranged damage even if they ran out of mana. You're actually going to have to pay attention to what you pull and from where. If you've ever talked to an old school vanilla tank, for instance, they'll talk about how back in the day they used to line of sight everything. This was a proven tactic to deal with pulling back casters so that you didn't accidentally pull the next group. You had to be incredibly careful to not pull extra mobs, even while questing solo, because sometimes getting 2 mobs means your death. Getting 3 mobs was definitely death, unless you can heal or you have some decent CC. The mob density was pretty heavy in vanilla though, and so you had to clear a path for yourself and think about how you deal with certain situations. You can't just face roll your way through the enemies like you can do now in live. You have to be careful. Hate to break it to you, but there is no dungeon finder in vanilla, and you're going to have to spam chat in a major city likely to get a group together for a dungeon or get friends from your guild to help you. Many complained about this whole process, but I feel it really helped to cement friendships. If you found people that you had a good time with that weren't awful, you'd be hanging out with them all the time. Nowadays, we have no need to really hang out with other people as we can do everything on our own. People also don't seem to care much whether they are nice to people because heck, they can do whatever, wherever, whenever. You won't be getting your first mount until level 40, so get used to running everywhere. It's not so bad on some classes like hunters or druids, but on some it can be outright frustrating how long it takes to get where you're going, especially if you goofed and you forgot something. A tip, if you can manage it, is to get a friend or an alt to enchant a pair of white boots with minor run speed on them. You can switch the boots to any alt that doesn't have a mount yet and just use them to get around faster. As I mentioned earlier, some add-ons will be extremely helpful in adjusting to the new way of life in vanilla. I'd say I can't live without Cartographer and Questy. I also installed an enemy cast bar and sell value, which shows how much things sell for in your bag and not just at the vendor. There are some sites around that still have vanilla mods available, like vanillaaddons.com and legacywow.com. Another great difference is that there will be no Crossrealm, or should be no Crossrealm at least. I'm still not sure how this will be handled when Blizz rolls out Classic WoW. I'm really hoping they keep it the way it used to be, and that there won't be any Crossrealm. You know, you used to PvP with the people on your own server, and that was that. There was no running into strangers and never seeing them again like there is now. World PvP meant more, and so did the battlegrounds. It was just a horrible change, in my opinion, to throw everyone together like they did. And thankfully with vanilla, you won't have to worry about that. And if they mess it up on live, there's always a private server. There are a lot of other nuances that you'll run into. I'm sure there are more than even I'm listing here, like the fact that a hunter will have to feed their pet and catch new pets to learn new pet skills. But then there's things that everyone will run into, like Hearthstones. Cooldowns are a whole hour. There's no way around it, so use your CD wisely. This was one of the reasons shamans were so awesome, because at level 30 they got a skill called Astral Recall that worked just like the Hearthstone, but was on a different timer. There's no auto loot option in the interface, but you can use Shift plus right click to loot all items at once at least. There's also no prices on trash items, so you'll have to bring them to a vendor to find out what they're worth, unless you have a mod like Sell Value that I mentioned earlier. There will be no cast bars on enemies, and in order to interrupt them, you're going to have to look at their hands and wait until they glow like they're casting something. You can also get a mob for this. I was able to manage it for the most part, but it feels like you're just waiting for them to cast without a mod. Do you guys remember weapon skill? Well, you needed a proficiency in every weapon you were going to use. There were even weapon masters where you'd have to buy the ability to use a new type for a fee available at level 10. Different weapon skills were available in each of the major cities. I'm sure there's more, but I'm going to stop there. Just keep these things in mind when you're starting up Classic. Prepare yourself that this will be more difficult than you're used to, but it'll be so much more rewarding. The amount of handholding that Blizzard does for us currently in the live client is a little ridiculous. I've thought about it a lot after playing Vanilla again, and it really takes the fun out of the game. I mean, we don't even have to think anymore. We just go to the place on the map and kill what it tells us to kill without reading, without even thinking much. It's all automated and repetitive, and we wonder why we just don't seem to care that much anymore. If you're as anxious as I was to get into Classic, you can check out the Lights Hope private servers. It's incredibly stable, and I haven't run into any issues as of yet. They have a huge PvP server and a decent sized PvE server. I set up shop on Darrowshire, the PvE server, so I can get my bearings before I decide to take a stab at World PvP. There is still no date for Classic WoW to be released, and there are still no specifics about what will be changed and what won't be. They have said that there will be no changes, but then there have also been surveys asking things like if people would be willing to pay much more to level faster. I really hope they keep it legit and just get it as close to the original vanilla as possible. No paying for boosts or anything like that. It's likely whenever it does release that it will be after Battle for Azeroth comes out in August, though. The nice thing is that even if they mess up Classic WoW, I'll still have the private server to fall back on. Well, have a good one, guys, and let me know if you check out the private server. I've been playing a lot and dying a lot. Seriously, guys, I've died like 40 times so far, and my character is only 14. See ya!